Welcome to Echoes by Jigyansa. As part of a journey to bring thought provoking ideas from leading minds, we had the privilege of speaking with Dr. Sabyasachi Dey from BITS Hyderabad. Dr. Dey works in the fascinating world of cryptography and cryptanalysis, the science that lies at the heart of digital security in today's connected world. In this special segment, he talks about what cryptography really is, how it shapes the future of technology, and what opportunities await students and young researchers in the job market. Stay tuned as we take you into this short but insightful conversation. Hello, sir. Welcome to the podcast. Very nice having you here. So we'll move to the questions directly. So first of all, could you talk to us about your research?
So my research area is called cryptography. So cryptography is about encrypting messages. So any online platform that we use for sending messages to any other person, there's a possibility that any third party can intercept our message and get the message. Right now, to protect that, cryptography comes into the picture. So the purpose of cryptography is that we convert the message to a form which, if someone looks at it, will not be able to identify what the message is actually about. So, so my research is basically about designing such algorithms which can convert this, make this conversion, or about analyzing some algorithms, some existing algorithms, which means how much secure those algorithms are. We try to analyze those algorithms. That is my research area.
It's very nice, sir. And to beginner, how would you explain what cryptography is and how necessary is mathematics here?
Okay, that's a long question. Okay, for a beginner, so let's take two persons. Suppose I am me and you. We are communicating with via any channel which can be intercepted by any third party, right? Now, I have some message that I want to send to you. So, as I have mentioned earlier, that any third party can intercept the message. So, what I will do is I will use some algorithm to convert my message to a form which is called a cipher text. Okay. So instead of sending the actual message, I will send the cipher text to you. Okay. And when you receive the cipher text, you have the ability to convert it back to the message, which means applying the inverse algorithm, the reverse algorithm of what I did. Okay. And that's how we get the message. Now, if any third party intercepts, okay, then he will get the cipher text. Now there is some portion of the algorithm which is unknown to the third party. Because of that, the third party will not be able to decipher it or able to get the actual message out of the cipher text. So that is the purpose of cryptography. It is a old subject. It is not a new subject. Cryptography was there from the ancient days only. Because whenever people started communicating with each other, the requirement of private communication was always there, right? So cryptography, the history of cryptography is very old. Okay. From the beginning of civilization, people tried to encrypt their message in some possible way. Now, as technology developed, the mode of communication have changed, but the purpose has not changed. We still have the requirement of converting our message to a form such that any third party cannot understand what the message is. So, based on the technological advancement, the procedure of this conversion has changed, but the subject is still there. Okay, so that's what cryptography is.
For the mathematics part, sir.
If you look at the history of cryptography, it is around more than 1,000 years old. Historically, for example, suppose there is a king, there is a war between two kings, okay, and the king has to send some war plan to his soldiers. So what they used to do is they used to send the message to the soldiers via some person, right? Because we didn't have other communication technologies available at that time. Now, there is a possibility that when the person is taking that message to the soldiers, the opponent king can intercept that message, right? So at that time also the requirement of cryptography was there. Okay. So some algorithms were available at that time also. For example, Julius Caesar used to use cryptography in his communication. It's called a Caesar cipher. Now, But at that time, the importance of mathematics was not realized by people. Now, gradually, as technology developed and the procedure of encryption developed, around 18th or 19th century, people realized that because computers have come, right, and whatever we write in a machine, in a computer, ultimately it converts it to 0 and 1. Right. So, whatever message I am sending, the machine will be converting it to numbers. Now, because numbers are coming, whatever algorithm you are applying, those will be based on numbers. And this is how mathematics gradually comes into the picture. People realize that because we are dealing with numbers, we can do so many things. Anything that can be done in mathematics, any mathematical operation, addition, subtraction, multiplication, or whatever are there, we can use that to encrypt the message. This is how slowly mathematics came into the picture. And as technologies developed, algorithms developed, even hardcore mathematics started playing a significant role here. The modern cryptography is completely dependent on mathematics, particularly number theory, algebra, and the analysis part significantly depends on statistics also.
And moving on from your childhood, what specifically drew your attention towards mathematics and, to be specific, cryptography?
So these two have two different answers. For mathematics, like I had my interest towards mathematics from my third or fourth standard. The reason is I realized that mathematics is the only subject among all the subjects that I had at that time where you can think independently. Right? When you are able to solve any maths problem on your own, the fun that you get, the enjoyment that you get, that I did not find in any other subject. So it is like solving a puzzle. Right? So that's how gradually my interest in mathematics developed. When you are able to solve any difficult problem, which apparently looks difficult initially, but after a long time of thinking, you are able to solve that problem. That gives a tremendous fun, right? So that's how I had my interest in mathematics. Talking about cryptography, I came to know about cryptography at first when I was in 12th standard, and it was from a storybook by Dan Brown. The storybook was named Digital Fortress, and the story was a thriller and it was very interesting. Okay, and that's how I first came to know about cryptography. But at that time, I didn't know that mathematics plays a significant role in cryptography. That I came to know during my masters. I didn't have any scope to study cryptography as a subject in my bachelor's or masters, but I knew that people in maths work in cryptography. Now, when I joined PhD, my supervisor, he was a new faculty in IIT Madras, Professor Shantanu Sarkar, and he was the first person in our department who was working in cryptography. And when we interacted, then I felt it very interesting that cryptography is something that I already had an interest from a storybook, but because I am learning mathematics, when I first realized that mathematics can be used in cryptography significantly, that gradually attracted me towards this subject.
Nice.
That's how we started.
That's very nice, sir. And cryptography is at the intersection of maths and CS. So, what are the challenges that one faces while exploring the field? And what is the scenario of the current cryptography research in India? And how different is it from all the American and European institutes?
Okay, so let's come one by one. The first question was about like how difficult it is for a student. So the problem that I felt initially, if you look at our education system, it is divided into categories like science, engineering, arts, etc. And people apparently think that these things are disconnected, which is actually not. The problem of this thought process is that people who are learning maths, they think that what they are learning is completely different from computer science. Okay, they don't know that what they are learning in maths has significant application in computer science. So now I did my masters in maths, my bachelor's in maths. I never knew that how much mathematics is required in computer science. When I started learning cryptography, then first time I realized that mathematics is significantly required in computer science, and there are some topics like cryptography and some others where one needs to know both maths and computer science. I didn't have any knowledge in computer science. Only in school I studied some programming languages, very basic level. that helped me a lot. But in general, for a math student, it is difficult to start the research in cryptography or in these interdisciplinary areas because our education system does not allow us in general. I'm not talking about top institutes. I'm talking about the usual colleges and universities. If you are in the maths department, we don't have sufficient scope to learn programming, or nobody will tell you what is the significance of learning a programming. Okay? Because even the faculties think like in that manner that mathematics students should, there is no necessity to learn a programming. Right? Now the problem of this thought process is that we never knew the importance of learning a programming and how it will help in mathematics. So we had courses of programming languages and others, but we never took it seriously, to be honest. And this is the scenario in most of the universities. They learn math, they have programming languages in their math courses also, but they don't learn it seriously. So if any student is going to start researching cryptography, he needs the background of both, and that scope is less in the usual universities. In research institutes, the scenario is different. It is, I think, completely it is better, right? You are from ISER, you know it better. Like you have more scope to learn multiple subjects like maths and computer science and physics. So for research institutes, it is significantly better, but in usual universities, it is not that good because anyone from maths background will face significant problem initially if they don't have a background in don't have knowledge in computer science.
Okay, it's very nice. And there is a lot of buzz in this word called quantum. So how is quantum computing changing the landscape of cryptography?
Okay, so again, a long question again. So let me first start with why quantum plays a significant role here. Now, those who have studied quantum, they know that in quantum there is a concept called superposition, right? So in computer, everything is written in binary form, 0 and 1. Machine understands only 0 and 1. Now in quantum, the idea of superposition is that it is not only two possible states, 0 and 1, there can be a combination of 0 and 1. Okay. Superposition means it can be a combination of 0 and 1. So if you look at a quantum computer, there the entries are not necessarily in form of 0 and 1, there are entries in form of combination of 0 and 1. Combination means it is combination of two states. Those who know quantum mechanics, they know this thing. Now, because of this advantage, this extra facility available, mathematicians have developed some algorithms where using the superposition principle, they can solve many existing problems of mathematics in significantly low complexity. Complexity means the number of steps. For example, if we talk about factorization problem, it is called a hard problem in mathematics because if I give you a large number and I want you to factorize that number, okay, and suppose it has only two factors which are large, it is very much time consuming to find out what those factors are in our classical methods. But in quantum, because of the superposition principle, there is one algorithm available which can do the same thing in significantly less number of steps. Okay, so there are many problems which takes exponential time in classical technique, but can be solved in a polynomial time. I'm using more technical words. It might not be understandable for common people, but it can be solved in polynomial time by any quantum algorithm. So because of the availability of these algorithms, we can attack the encryption algorithms, the encryption systems in cryptography, and the secret messages can be recovered in significantly less number of steps compared to the usual classical methods, right? And that's where quantum computation is threatening for us. But also there is a constructive side. There is something called a quantum key distribution. Now, so which means quantum can also help us to develop encryption systems which are significantly more secure than our existing encryption systems. Okay, so the contribution of quantum is in both sides. It is from destructive side also. Many existing algorithms are easily attackable by quantum. In the other hand, there are possibility of constructing any encryption system using quantum. So that is the constructive side.
It's very nice, sir. And we as students, like we are hearing a lot of things about publishing more papers. One has to publish papers and all, and that all, obviously gives a lot of people a misconception about should we publish a lot of papers just for the sake of publishing, or should we just like is the quantity, does the quantity matter over the quality? What are your thoughts on that, and what is the misconception that is happening here?
This is a very interesting question actually. So as we know, research is about the quality, obviously, right? And a number of paper does not represent the quality of a researcher, right? But the problem is, suppose I am working in cryptography and there is a person who doesn't know cryptography. Now he wants to judge my quality as a researcher. Because he doesn't know cryptography, he can't exactly understand what I am doing. So people use some parameters to judge the quality of a researcher or a particular publication, right? One such parameter is impact factor of the journals where we publish. Another parameter is the number of papers. Now, none of these parameters are suitable enough to judge the quality of a researcher. Why? Because number of papers, you can always go for publishing weak research work in average journals, and but in that manner you can publish many papers in a year. That does not imply you are a good researcher. But unfortunately in India, because we have a huge population, and when we have to shortlist people out of their research, the parameters that we use to shortlist people in any context, any job interview, or just to identify whether this person is a good researcher or not, the parameters that we use, those are impact factors, quartiles of the journals, and number of papers. And because these parameters are being used, we can't exactly judge the quality of a researcher. Right? Now the problem is that because of this, many people with average quality of publication, but a huge number of papers, are considered to be good researchers. And unfortunately, this is glorified. Okay.
So according to you, this is happening in, you're talking about the Indian system, or like?
It's mostly in Indian system, because if you look at, apart from some of the top research institutes, if you look at genetic names, most of the institutes, if you look at any private institute or new IITs or NITs, etc., if you look at them, people are more interested in publish in increasing their number of papers, okay, and increasing the impact factor also. And when a new student is joining an institute, initially a student thinks in a manner that I have to do something which will contribute to the society, contribute to mankind. But when they get comfortable with the system, they find out that their faculties are not thinking in that manner. Their faculties are looking for more and more number of papers, trying to increase the number of papers as much as possible, and just to choose journals which has high impact factors. Unfortunately, there are journals which are of low quality but has high impact factor. So you can always find some journals in every domain. So impact factor doesn't always imply, high impact factor doesn't always imply that the journal is good, right? But unfortunately, the students are driven to that direction, and that's how it is somewhere spoiling the environment of a good research. It is unfortunate. I think the scenario in foreign universities, particularly US and European countries, are comparatively better because there people are not being forced that much to publish quickly. You can take 2 to 3 years without any publication to think on a particular problem, and then you can go for a groundbreaking work, right? We have examples like that. In India, if we have no publication in 1 or 2 years, system will force you to publish something even if it is not good enough. Okay, so you always have to compromise your quality in order to increase the quantity. That is negative side in research in most of the institutes in India. only in some top research institutes the situation is different. Otherwise, mostly the situation is like this only.
Right, sir. So, and we are almost getting to the end of the podcast. So, one final question is, what would be your final advice for young researchers who are getting started?
Continuing in that same line, so try to choose problems. When any researcher, I suggest that try to choose problems which has significant impact in your particular domain. Whichever domain you are in, try to choose problems that will have a significant impact and give sufficient time. Try to think independently. Try to think out of the box, because in research it's very important that how differently you can think. Even if you don't come up with a good output, that is not a problem. Try to think differently, because independent thinking is the most important part in research. So don't follow others. Not only in research, even in other scopes, other aspects of your life. It is not necessary that you have to follow everyone. What we usually do is we do so many things in our life just by following others. We don't know why we are doing this. This thought process is not suitable for research, because research is about something new, discovering something new. So independent thinking is required. So if we have the habit of thinking independently, not following others, that will significantly contribute in our research work. So this is my suggestion to the young researchers, that always try to think independently. Don't follow others.
Thank you so much, sir. And it was very nice having you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.